Okay, in this particular problem, we have already solved the GFS into HFS given by this. We have a repeated poles at the origin, the open loop poles. One is at -7, and of course, there are two zeros. Sorry, there is a zero at -2. We have actually solved this in the previous class itself. Suppose instead of having this as 7, if I just move this pole to S plus 1. Suppose if I just move it here. Suppose if I just slightly alter the pole position from, okay, let me just write it here. Okay, this, the pens are drying out. Since because of lockdown I'm unable to get new pens also. It's over here, and then I have a 0 at -2, I have a pole at -1. Correct? Now, you know that there are how many centroids? Sorry, how many what is that? Asymptotes? 2 asymptotes. Their centroid. Their centroid, you can see in the previous case it was -2.5. Now what is the centroid? Is it actually -1 minus of -2 by 2? Is it actually now half? Now is it onto the right hand side? Now which, that's what you can see, the position of pole will make a huge difference onto the system stability. Now does the root locus exist on this side? It won't exist. Here on the real axis. On this real axis also it doesn't exist, but it exists here, because here it is even number, no, to the right 2, and here if you are there in this segment it is 1 2 3, it exists here. You can see it leaves and it enters there. So this would have been it start from -1, it goes to -2, correct? From pole it goes to a 0. How about this? This is breaking and it will go like this. See, now it is exactly the opposite. System was absolutely stable, system has become absolutely unstable just because you have moved the pole from where to where? From 7 to 1. Now, how do I make this system stable again? Just move it such that your centroid is there onto the left. So that's how you can able to play this, okay, pole 0 position. Then, okay, what do you mean by this pole 0 position? How to move it? Because these pole zeros, if I can just give you a simple example of your low pass filter, so and so, was it actually 1 plus SRC? So can you see here, suppose if I write it as 1 over RC, if I take RC outside, is it like, okay, 1 over RC plus S? Is it, okay, 1 over RC S plus tau, or sorry, 1 over tau? If I change the RC values, am I changing the pole position? Exactly. So changing the values of resistance capacitances will make the poles to locate at the desired position. In a circuit, now we are seeing this mathematically how it happens. Now, how to electronically do all these things? You have to go to the circuit, identify this pole corresponds to which R and C in the circuit. You change the value so that you can bring it back here so that system will be stable. So we need to understand which component of the circuit is responsible for the location of or the position of the poles and zeros. That will be just dealing with more clarity in the coming units. Maybe here itself, or maybe in LMRF. In LMRF we have, that's one of the module where we have design of two-stage op-amp. In the design of two-stage op-amp, we discuss about the stability of the system, what is the margin for stability, then we just move the poles and zeros by changing the parameters. Okay. Is that fine? Still I have 43, that's fine. Okay, we are starting now. Just for God's sake, ask them to just attend the classes, otherwise the same result sheet will be coming for this semester also. Because let me just make it very clear that at any cost, exams will never happen in online mode. Exams will never happen in online mode. Even if the situation worsens, you may go to fifth semester, you may have to write the examination during your fifth semester. I'm just telling you the worst possibilities. So please don't dream of writing online examination the way how you people are writing the online test. This is just to give a warning. Those who are just trying to score marks, not to learn the concepts. So it's just a mere warning for all of you. Okay, now see what is this. This is an open loop transfer function of a system having a pole at the origin, and you have a complex conjugate poles. Can you see the poles are not on the real axis? So one is at the origin, the other two are complex conjugate. Meaning I have it like this. I have one at the origin and one at -4. This is root is -4, no? And this is, just give me 1 second. Someone is calling me. Is the intersection of this is this and it is this. Okay, these are the poles. Correct? This is my pole position. Open loop. So this is a pole at the origin. There is a pole at -4 plus J3 -4 -J. Correct? Next is, which part of the root locus is a part of which part of the relax is a part of root locus now? See here, you have only 2 segments. Now you need to, as we know that we need to divide the real axis into number of segments depending on poles and zeros on the real axis. You have only 1 pole on the real axis, so you'll end up with segment 1, segment 2. Correct? There are only 2 segments. Is the segment 1 is a part of root locus? Segment 1. Segment 2. Segment 2. So you just make sure that you darken this. These are not on the real axis. Even though if you consider that they are even in number, no? 1 plus 3 is 1 plus 2 is 3. That's why while identifying the number of poles to the right of that section, you just stand over here, see to the right, it's only 1. Because you are looking at only the open loop poles and zeros on the real axis, not which are complex conjugate. Here also we defined that, okay, why did we write it here? How many are there to the right on the real axis? It has got 1, it has got 2 here, that's why it doesn't exist. We got 3 over here, that's why it exists, and over here there are 4. So you are always looking at poles and zeros of the open loop transfer function on the real axis. Now each and every word in these statements are very important. We are looking at number of poles of the open loop transfer function on the S-plane, real part, only the real part on the S-plane. So that should be odd number for that part of the real axis to be part of root locus. How many rows are there? 3. How many will go to infinity? All the 3 will go to infinity. So all 3 will go to infinity. And the centroid, or number of asymptotes, because as many number of loci go to infinity, those many asymptotes will have. Number of asymptotes are 3. Then centroid, is it actually 0? Because it is said that centroid is nothing but summation of real part of zeros minus summation of real part of open loop poles. What is the open loop pole zeros here? Sorry, real part. Is it actually 0 plus of -4 plus of -4 by 3? So is it actually minus 8 by 3? So is it actually, what is that, minus 8 by 3? 2.66, it is minus 2.66. So this is a centroid. So what are the angles? You have three angles are 60 degree, 180 degree and 300. So you have, okay, one at 60 degree, one at 180 degree, other is at 300 degree. When I say 60, it is from here 60 degree. It is this 180 degree because this is a reference angle. And then this is 300 degree. Oh, what is dying out? I don't know. This is fine. Anybody has any problem? Angle of asymptotes. Okay. We have written the angles. You can see. Do you have a asymptote at angle 180 degree? So we know that, okay, is this a part of root locus? So shall I simply put arrow marks or something like this? So a pole which leaves at origin is going along this asymptote and it's going to infinity. Gone. So this is done. Next, these two asymptotes will guide the roots which are leaving from this, because this is the pole position when k equal to 0. This is a pole position when k equal to 0. When k is non-zero, it has to come out. It has to come out. Now I said it has to come out. So at what angle it comes out? Will it come like this? Will it come like this? Will it come like this? I don't know. Because here there was no ambiguity at all. It has to move along this. It has to go to left. In the previous case also, we were knowing that this has to go to left and this has to go to right. There is no ambiguity. And once they break, we know that it has to become complex conjugate. Of course, we can prove that it's a semicircle. Here also, of course, you may argue that, okay, sir, how did you write this part? Because I know that this is my asymptote, I know that this is the point at which it leaves. So this, someone can write it this way, someone can write it this way, someone can write it this way. It doesn't matter. But the thing is that finally we are looking at, will it come parallel to this? But in case of this, I don't know how it goes. I don't know whether it goes like this, I don't know whether it goes like this, I don't know whether it goes like this. I need to identify the angle of departure. Angle of departure is required for any complex open loop poles. That is, for all complex open loop poles, we need to find angle of departure. So angle of departure is a must for only complex open loop poles. Complex, they have to be complex. For that, what is how do we find it? We write it as theta d, angle of departure. Theta d is nothing but 180 degree plus phi. 180 degree plus phi. This phi is nothing but summation of angles from all open loop zeros minus summation of angles from all open loop poles, because we have only open loop poles and zeros. So let us try to understand this. So angle of departure is given by 180 degree plus phi. This phi is defined as summation of angles from all open loop zeros minus summation of angle from all open loop poles. Now assume that I want to find the angle of departure for this. So if you want to find out for this, you join all existing poles and zeros of the transfer function to this point. Do you have 1 here? Do you have 2 here? Now if you want to find the angle of departure of this, you join other poles and zeros to that point. Next you find this angle. Let me name this as angle theta P1. So this is theta P2. Correct? Now what is phi now? Shall I write phi is equal to, because I don't have any zeros, is it 0 minus theta P1 plus theta P2? Next, what is theta P1? Since it is vertical tilt, shall I write theta P1 as 90 degree? What is theta P2? Theta P2, shall I write it as 180 degree minus tan inverse of opposite is 3, adjacent is 4. What I do is, let me find out this angle. What is this angle? It is tan inverse of 3 by 4. But what is this? What I want is theta P1, theta here. So is it not 180 degree minus this? So that's what is this. Let me try to explain this. So we have something like this. We had pole here. We have joined this point. I want to find this angle. I know that this is J3, this is minus 4. Is this actually 4 and this is 3 unit points? I want to find theta P2. Is this theta P2 180 degree minus this? 180 degree minus this angle is tan inverse of, is it not 3 by 4, opposite by adjacent? So it is this. So how much is this now? 143 degrees. So shall I write it as 0 minus of 90 plus 143? Is it actually 233 degree minus? So this is the angle of departure for a pole which is leaving from here, because there are two poles which are complex. So one will leave at this angle minus 233, this will leave at an angle opposite to this, that is plus 233, because they are symmetric in nature. So now if I rewrite that, because that is clumsy there, if I rewrite it here, it is this and this. Is this going this way? And I have asymptote at minus 2.66. There is asymptote which is lying there. What is the angle? Minus 233. If this is 0 degree, this is 0 degree, this is minus 180 degree, and minus 233, will it be somewhere here? Okay, minus 233. This is from here, it is minus 180. This is minus 270. It is somewhere here. Is it? Yes, this is the angle corresponding to minus 233 degree. So I can say that the pole, we had an ambiguity now here, whether it goes this way, this way. Now we have a clear direction that it will leave at minus 233. Once it leaves here, will it go this side? It has to come to this side. So then it will come here and then it has to go somewhere like this. Again, you know that it is crossing imaginary axis. So you can find this. For that, find the write the root survey. Write the root survey. So what does root survey says? Okay, what will be that equation? Is it actually s plus 4 plus j3 and s plus 4 minus j3? Is it actually s square plus 4s minus j3s, then plus 4s, and then is it minus of j12 plus 16, and then you have minus plus j3s, and then you have minus j12 plus j12 am I correct? Is it actually a square plus 8s? This will go with this will go with this. Is it actually plus 25? Correct? Okay. How we have to do next is, it is s square plus twice of this, which is 8s, plus the summation of squares of these two. So square of this is 16, the square of 3 is 9, that will be 25. So that's how we can easily write. Twice of the real part, which is the coefficient of s. The coefficient of s power 0 is summation of square of this and square of that. That's how we will take it. Next problem, let us not do this, we just directly do this way. What is the equation now? Is it actually, okay, del of s, is it equal to s cube plus 8s square plus 25s plus k equal to 0? Am I correct? Should I write, sorry, s cube, are you there with me? I'm 125, 8k. Is it actually 200 minus k by 8, 0, k is equal to, or k margin is equal to 200, correct? Then what is AFS, auxiliary equation? Auxiliary equation is 8a square plus 200 equal to 0, correct? Then what is roots? S is equal to plus or minus j root of 25. Is it 5? This is 25, this is plus or minus j5. Correct. So this is plus j5. This is minus. Huh? Yeah, it is 5. So this is this is 1, the other one goes like this. So here actually minus 233, here it will be plus 233, and it just goes like this. This is the we have, finally we have this one, this will go along with that. Someone can mute their talking. Otherwise you sit in a quiet place so that they can, at home they can do their work and you can do your work of listening to the class. Both cannot happen simultaneously. Okay, let me just repeat the thing. So we have started with a transfer function which has got complex open loop poles. Of course, once you have complex open loop poles, we have to first identify number of loci, how many will go to infinity. If of course in this particular problem we have all the 3 loci going to infinity, then we need to find the centroid. There are 3 asymptotes. Centroid is coming out to be minus 2.66. And we know that one of them is lying at 180 degree. This is a part of root locus. Then it goes along with that asymptote, and there are 2 asymptotes at 60 and 180 degree, sorry, 60 and 300 degree. And we have 2 complex poles. So since the poles are complex, we don't know the angle at which they leave the position. So for which we are going to find one mistake. No, sorry. Of course, we would have caught here when we actually done the simulation. We actually missed out this one, 180 plus. We have simply done this 5. This is only 5. So this is not 180. We have to actually do to find theta d is actually 180 plus 5. Oh, something happened. Let me just share. Am I audible? Yeah, so this we missed out. Oh, let's see why it's happening. One small mistake that what we have done is we didn't. We didn't add this 180 degree. So it's actually theta d is equal to 180 plus 5. We just found 5 and we immediately went here. Actually it should be 180 plus 5. So then will it become, how much is with this? Will it be, okay, once you make it 180 plus 233 minus, how much is this? Minus 53. 53 degree. So this is the angle. So minus 53 comes here. Correct? This is 53 degree. So you come in the clockwise direction, this is minus 53. So then the position is not like this, it goes this way. This is not this. This is 53 degree. This is plus 53 degree. It just goes here and comes off. Let me just rewrite that. So you have this here, you have this here. This goes this way. This is minus 53. It just leaves here. This is plus 53. It comes up. Correct? This is one small change because we didn't add 180 degree here. Otherwise it is fine. Everything is fine. Shall we do 20 sim? Of course, we would have been easily caught in 20 sim. Okay, there is some mistake there in that calculation that I can show you now here. Could you people install 20 sim and then start doing it out? Maybe we can start doing it now because now we are done with your test systems. I'll show you this how to edit the transfer function later because now we have the poles and zeros located at so and so position. Is one of the pole is at origin? How about the other pole? Other pole minus 4 is the real axis and the imaginary is 3. So plus or minus already there. Then I say apply. Okay. Go to 40 plot. There. Is it there? This is 0 degree. Is it minus 53? Actually, according to our earlier one, it went like this. So it is not going. See now, if I move the pole, can you see now the poles are moving? How do I put it? See, it's actually going like this, and where the value of k becomes 200, and the value of k becomes 200. It will cross the middle axis. Can you see it is 93, it is still to the left. Let me slightly change the axis. How do I change the axis? Let me go to properties because that it's not crossing them. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, properties. Axis by default it is from this to this. can make it slightly thicker so that you can visualize it. Okay, pick the y-axis. Okay, then minus 20. Fine. Now I can make it to this is see that. Can you see 197? 187 still to left. If you slightly increase it, it will go right. Now it has 315. It's always at the right side. Okay, fine. So next let us move on to another problem. So I just want it to just GFS into HFS is equal to K by okay, just write it as S square or S plus 2 plus R minus J5, and this is S plus 1 S plus 4, and okay, let this be this much. Or can I add? Okay, would you like to have a complex 0 or ordinary 0? The option is yours. Would you people like to have complex 0 or real 0? Okay, S plus 3 plus or minus J2. Fine. So let me write the poles and zeros like this. This is minus 1, this is minus 4, this is minus 2, this is J5, this is minus J5, correct? And you have at minus 3, this is plus J2, this is minus J2, is it something like this? These are the poles and zeros. Correct? Right. Number of asymptotes. Their angles. Centroid. Centroid is equal to summation of poles, मतलब minus 1, minus 4, minus 2, minus 2, minus of minus 3, minus 3 by 4 minus 3. Correct? Okay, let me ask a student how I wrote that centroid. Who is there with me? Wait. Let me just take this student. How hardly for the student with me. Yashaswini, HM? Yashaswini? Yeah, tell me. How I wrote centroid as minus 1, minus 2, minus 2, minus of minus 2. What is that? This is actually first comes poles, then zeros, then P minus Z. So it is summation of real part of open loop poles minus summation of real part of all zeros divided by poles minus Z. Correct? What will be this? Is it actually minus 9 plus 6 by 2? Is it actually minus 1.5? Correct? Is it here somewhere? Shall we write this as asymptote? Am I correct? Eshu Lakshmi. Will be called Eshu in your home, no? Am I correct? Minus 1.5. Minus 1.5 is the centroid. Can somebody predict how the poles may go? Okay, now is this a part of root locus, Eshu Lakshmi? This one? Towards the right of minus 1? Is this a part of root locus? Yes. Neglected Allah. It is not a part of root locus. How to neglect nobody knew. This is not a part of root locus. Then second segment is this. I will just demarcate only 3 segments: S1, S2, S3. Why only 3 segments? Because only 2 poles on the real axis. Is it not? You are not supposed to consider these complex poles and complex zeros. Correct? S2 is a part of root locus, S2 segment. Okay? Why? That is, a pole to the right is only 1. Correct? Then, how about this S3? So, shall I now write it like this? So, correct? This will leave like this, no? Okay. Shall we write the angle of how many are going to 0, how many are going to infinity out of these 4? Out of 4 loci, how many are going to infinity or how many are going to 0? Actually, we have 4 poles, 4 loci, correct? And we have 2 zeros, 2 open loop zeros, correct? Out of 4, 2 will go here. How about remaining 2? How about remaining 2? They will go to infinity. Is it not? So 2 will go to infinity and 2 will go to 0. Correct? Now, even though we have a complex pole, we know that we are supposed to find the angle of departure. For this complex zeros, we need to find the angle of arrival. I don't know whether the poles which are leaving here will go here or whether the pole which is leaving here will come here. Is it not? So we have an ambiguity whether this pole comes to this way, whether this comes here, or the one which is breaking here, will it go here? Because there are possibilities, no? So I have poles here and I have poles here. So it may go here like this and it will break and it may just come here. Correct? One of the possibility. What is the other possibility? You can just think of something like this. This will go here and they will go here. This is a possibility, no? Because we don't know the possibility whether this is correct or this is correct. I don't know, because both are possible. If you want to know this, I have to find the angle of departure. If the angle of departure is positive angle, then this is correct. If the angle of departure is something negative, and if the angle of arrival is something from here, then this is correct, or this is correct. Shall we just do the simulation once and we'll come back to this? Let me show you simulation wise how it looks. Can somebody tell me the poles and zeros? Poles are at minus 1. So the pole at minus 1. Where is this complex? Minus 2 and J5. minus 3 j2. See? Can you make out? Are you sure it's not there? Let me just change this plot size. Where is that plot properties? Okay, Vishnu, is there? Hello. Hello. Are you there or what happened? Is it open? Hello. Hello. Where is Rishabh Lakshmi? If you go Gayab like that, okay, what? Okay, now, can you see now? So here we had ambiguity, no? We had ambiguity whether it goes this way, but it is very clear from that simulation, it is going this way. But we can certainly prove this. So what is the angle of arrival for this? Is it around minus 50 degree? Is the angle of departure around 30-40 degree plus? We just find that. So this is just a idea that what is the angle of arrival departure, which we are going to prove here. So what is we are supposed to know what is angle of arrival departure. So what is theta b? Theta d is departure. Angle of departure is given by 180 plus 5. What is that? 180 plus 5. So this is one confusion I have. You are confusing in the beginning itself. Angle of arrival is 180 minus 5. So this is the only thing. Okay, now what is 5? Summation of same. 5 remains the same. Summation of theta z minus summation of theta p divided by, okay, that's all. There's no divide by. So for this theta d, is it actually this and this? So shall I write it as theta z1 plus theta z2 minus of theta p1 plus theta p2, which is 5. Okay, what is theta z1? It's actually this. Correct? Theta z1, shall I write it as tan inverse of, this is what? This is how much? This is 2, no? This is j2, that is 5. Is the height is 3 by, and this is 2, this is 1, 3 by 1 plus tan inverse of, and this is 4, not 4, yeah, tan inverse of, here this is 3 plus 2 plus 2, 4, 7. Height, what is height from here to here? Is it not, okay, 2 plus 2 plus 3, 7? We are there at minus j2. We have to go to 5. It's totally 7 now. So that's why tan inverse of 7 by 1. Minus of, if you say this is 90 degree, if this is theta p1, theta p2 is plus tan inverse of how much is this array? This is 2, no? This is tan inverse of is it actually 5 by 2? What is the height here? These are 5 now. 5 and this is at 4, these are 2. Is it 2? 5 by 2. Okay, give me this 5. What? Overall. Make sure that it's in degrees. Somebody else also can give it. Please try to know how to find the angles that tan inverse of opposite the adjacent. This is your very simple trigonometric equation. How to find the angle? Theta z1, theta z2, p1, p2s. How much? What wrong with it? Tan inverse of 3, tan inverse of 7. Overall angle. This is minus 4.76 phi. Then what is theta d? It is 180 minus 4.76. It is 175.4 degrees or 175 degrees. Correct? So where is 175 comes? So this is 100, this is 175 somewhere here. Okay, it comes like this. This way. Sorry, here. It goes this way. This is 175. So angle of departure. For angle of arrival, we have to. No. It's not the same phi. We need to connect all poles and zeros to this zero. It is not the same thing. It is this to this, this to this, this to this, and this to this. Let me write it here. We have one here. Wait. We have actually missed out one more angle now here. See. Sorry. This one, -1. Shall I add this angle? It's actually theta p3 I should add. Correct? What is that angle? Plus is it actually 180 minus tan inverse of how much is this height? 5, no? 5, and this is 1. Tan inverse of 5. Correct? Then give me this angle. It's actually 180 minus tan inverse of 5. And this is not correct. Much. We just include this extra angle theta p3. $180 minus of tan inverse of 5. Plus 4.76 minus 180. Is it actually 73 degree then? It is okay. Overall angle is 73.9 degrees. Theta d. Am I correct? This is 106 degree close to. So since it is 74 degree close to, where is 74 coming? This is 0 degree. 74 comes somewhere here. That's why it was going like this. So in the simulation, it's going the same way. No? See here. I was just wondering, okay, why our angle is coming so. So this is 0 degree. Is it almost 76 degree here? At the time it leaves. You can just see here. See when it is leaving, is it leaving at an angle of almost close to 60-70 degree or 74 degree? This is how it goes. Okay, because we missed out this term, it was coming out as okay, how much? Some different angle. 175 was coming. Okay, this how we need to connect all poles and zeros to that point for which you are finding angle of departure or arrival. Correct? Now we need to find angle of arrival. So we have one at one pole at -1. There is one more pole at -4. There is a 0 at -3 real axis, and this is J2. We have one more here at -J2, and we have a pole at -2 real, and this is J5. Am I correct? Now it is this, and this. Correct? And of course this also. So do we have now okay. So is phi is equal to theta z1 minus of theta p1 plus theta p2 plus theta p3 plus theta p4. So if I name this as theta p1, if it is theta p2, this is p3, this is theta p4, and this is theta z1. Theta z1 is 90 degree, no? Theta p1, shall I write theta p1 tan inverse of this angle. This angle. It's not 180 degree. So yeah, you can. Although you can. This is no. This is so no. This is you take this 180 minus this angle. So it's actually 180 degree minus of. This is at 2 and 1, no? Height is how much? This is at this is 5, no? 5 means 7. 180 minus tan inverse of 7 by 1. Correct? How much is this height? This height is 7. This is at -5, that is at 2. The separation is 7. That is height. The adjacent it is 1 because one is at 2, other is at 3. What is theta p2? Theta p2, shall I write it as how much is this? How much is this here? Shall I write it as 180? Okay. This angle I need to find, or you can find this angle. 180 plus or 360 minus this angle, whichever is easy. Okay, it is so and so angle. What is theta p4? It is this 180 minus this angle, and theta p3 is actually tan inverse of this, and theta z. So upon doing all these things, you'll get an angle phi that you subtract with 180. You may get some x degrees. So that x degrees, it is the or the angle at which it arrives. It arrives at point. It arrives there. So I just leave it to this as assignment, or you can just solve it out. What is the angles? If you can able to find angle of arrival and angle of departure, because angle of departure is found out to be 74 degrees, so that's why it was departing at 74 degree, and angle of arrival comes out somewhere at maybe minus negative angle, so that's why it is coming here like this. So it just breaks here and then it reaches there. So that's what was the graph. Here, of course, you can also find the breakaway point, because you need to find a breakaway point because the poles are coming in the opposite direction. Correct? So how do you find breakaway point? Find the value of k, look for the value of k max. So it is between -1 and -4, you're going to have a breakaway point. So find out that. You have the expression for k, substitute different values of s between -1 and -4, you find out where exactly it is maximum. So that will give you the breakaway point. Okay, I just leave this as assignment, or okay, whatever you think of. So give me the breakaway point, and the breakaway point as per this has to come somewhere here. Shall I just find the breakaway point approximate? The approximate breakaway point is somewhere here. That is around the -1.9. This one. Which one? It is, I think this -2.72. This is a breakaway point. This is -1.6, which is over here. Okay. X value is this -2.6. Here, this is -3. No? This is -2.7. The breakaway point is somewhere close to -2.7, 2.8. Okay, you have next class. Thank you so much. So, of course, it is bit tedious in terms of finding the angle of departure and arrival. Of course, you try to understand, okay, what is the procedure to find angle of departure and arrival. So, just do maybe 1 or 2 more problems and then we'll move on to next topic. Thank you.